Good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming to our last CGBN webinar of the year. And I just want to go over a few ground rules. This is recorded. You will find these recordings on our CGBN site as well as our YouTube site. So we appreciate during the recording if everyone can please mute themselves and take their screens off unless they are presenting. This is a monthly webinar where we try to talk about hot topics in commercial real estate and bring in individuals from all over the world. And they could be anyone that's in the real estate world, whether it be a broker, an attorney, a banker, a developer. We've had attorneys, we've had every different type of professional on here, and we've been with individuals from all over the world. We've been in Africa, we've been in Dubai, we've been in Japan, the Philippines, and Latin America. So we've been very fortunate to bring on presenters from all over the world who are experts in their fields and able to articulate good content for everyone to learn something, not just globally, but in the commercial real estate world. This is a multi-association endeavor. So we represent NICAR, which is the Northern Illinois Commercial Association Realtors, but we love to collaborate with other associations as well, especially since we are a global group. We are wanting to work with all of our U.S. gateway cities as well as all over the world. We do have some live events. We had this past year, we had it at NAR. Hopefully we're looking to do something at MIPUM, C5, and again at NAR. Next year, I am always open to ideas as the chair again for 2023. I would love to hear if you have presenters that you think would be great on this webinar and or ideas for live events. And if your association is participating on a regular basis with our NICAR CGBN committee, we are also highlighting your live events, whether it was the Miami Congress or New York City, the Global Summit. We were posting that on our page and advocating for those. So you will see the last 6 of these webinars on our CGBN site as well as YouTube. And then in terms of format, what we're going to do is we'll have some introductions. We have 3 panelists that will be presenting on their areas of the world. Hopefully we can cover some of the ones that were not here at a later date because not everyone could make today's webinar. So we appreciate those that could make it today. So after they each present, we will moderate a Q&A session. You're welcome to either put the question in the chat, or when we have the Q&A session, you can go ahead and raise your hand and I'll call on you. So thank you very much again for coming on. I would like to introduce Ahmed, who's one of my favorite people in the world. He was Global Ambassador of the Year the prior year. So he knows everything global and everyone. So he's been super helpful and instrumental in putting together many webinars, and especially this one with his contacts with global coordinators and other ambassadors. So I would like to introduce Ahmed Badat, who will tell you a little bit about global and introduce our presenters. You go, Ahmed.
Thank you, Teresa. By the way, I got this is our final webinar for the year, and Teresa has done an awesome job, including the event she had put together in Orlando, which unfortunately my flight had canceled and I couldn't make it. But before I continue, I see a face here, Holly Becker, and I know she's got a busy day going on, and I'm glad she's here. Holly is from NAR, and she is the manager of Global Alliances and Business Development. So before I go on and say anything else, Holly, can you please unmute yourself? And I'd like you to say a few words, please.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. So nice to be here. As Ahmed said, I am the manager of Global Business and Alliances for NAR and managing the regions of Eastern Africa, Middle East, or Eastern Europe, Africa, and Middle East. So anyway, it's great to be here with you all, and I'm excited to listen to the program today.
Thank you, Holly.
Yeah.
So I'll give you a little overview of who the global coordinators are and who the global ambassadors are. I noticed there's a few on here our past great global ambassador, Pradeep Shukla, Yana Herdova, who was also a past global ambassador, global coordinator. Rosie, I see Rosie there. She's a global ambassador. And I'm sure there are other faces. And, you know, if I missed your name or see you, my apologies. But Antonio Barbosa, my friend from Portugal, my heart bleeds for Ronaldo, but that's another conversation we'll have at another time. So the Global Ambassador Program basically is NICAR partnership with 71 in 71 countries with 100 plus organizations. And we have global ambassadors representing them. So we have 24 global ambassadors representing NICAR with these organizations. And we have 5 global coordinators. And today we have 3 of the 5 global coordinators here with us. These are people with great knowledge of the region, of the area, of what's going on. So they occupy this space, just not as the liaison between NICAR and our global partners, but also to its 1.5 plus million members. And they're the go-to folks. So David would get a call from me at most time, you know, he's ready to take a nap and I'm probably going to call him and ask him a question. and, you know, and Hannah and Ilyana, these are some of the best folks you're going to find in this field. I'm going to introduce and start off with David. So David McCoy, he has a remarkable story, and I'm always amazed when I think about somebody who starts off in the global field with his local and his state organization not having a global. So he's a one-man team out of Kentucky, and it's a remarkable story. So that was going to be a program on its own. David covers North, Central America, and the Caribbean. He has been a licensed realtor specializing in commercial real estate in Kentucky and Indiana since 2001. His focus is consulting, marketing, commercial and international buyers, sellers, landlord tenants, and investors. David has also a life outside of real estate. So he has been active member of his local association, but he also works with the National Immigrant Justice Center, Waterstaff, the United Way, and the University of Texas. David has a BS from Vanderbilt University and an MBA from the University of Texas, Austin. David, it's all yours.
Thank you very much. It's such a pleasure to be here with you all. I was explaining to everybody when I got started that I don't usually get to go first because I run too long. So they have permission to cut me off. If I get cut off abruptly, please know that I gave them permission. The other thing is I also don't get to go first is I usually steal from Hannah and Ilyana when I do mine. And so I'm on my own today, but maybe I'll be able to steal some stuff from them ahead of time. But anyway, you're going to find out that they're the brains of this operation. And I'm here, I think, because of personality. I'm not sure. So anyway, I'm David McCoy. I have been working as a volunteer with NICAR Global. This is coming up on my 9th year. Just real quickly, I started out back before we changed the program. I was originally a president's liaison to Jamaica, and I did that for 4 years. And then we revamped our program a little bit where it was a little more sort of regional in scope. And we switched from president's liaisons to global ambassadors. And so I was appointed the global ambassador for Jamaica, Bermuda, Bahamas, and the Dominican Republic. And I worked with them for a while, and this coming year will be my 3rd year as global ambassador. So kind of the way I feel like I want to go with this is I thought that I would talk a little bit about me, kind of giving you some background. Then I would talk just some basic facts about my region. Then talk about some topics sort of that I think are kind of big that affect my region and the world today, and then maybe an outlook, and we'll kind of see where we go. I know I'm talking quickly. That's because I do tend to run long. So forgive me if I run a little short. That would only be a bonus. Okay, let's get into it. So my region, I have North America, Central America, and the Caribbean. And so that is 14 countries, approximate population of 200 million people. That does not include Canada. Yes, Canada is in my region. We just, NAR, or the way we interact with Canada is a little bit different. So we don't have a global ambassador that works with Canada. But if you were to include Canada, that would be another around 40 million people. In my area, and we are the, we're sort of the, what shall we say? So my area sort of has the rock stars of the global program in terms of participants. We have around 1,300 international realtor members in Jamaica, around 1,100 international realtor members in Mexico. And I already mentioned that Canada really is not part of my region, but Canada is the next largest with 1,300 international realtor members. So those three countries together have approximately 4,000 international realtor members out of around 7,000 nationally. So our region is, and the way that that's important for you is that if you need people, in those countries, if you have things going on, you have a lot of opportunities. There are a lot of people there that we can connect you with. It is especially helpful if you're looking for people with specific specialities or, those kinds of things. Because there's so many, it's easier for us to find really kind of specific matches to what you're looking for. So basically there's two languages in my region. It's pretty much all English or Spanish. There's a few exceptions. Jamaica, their official language is English, and they speak English, although commonly kind of among themselves, they speak a language called patois. And it's based on English. You can kind of figure it out, but it is a little different. But everyone you meet in Jamaica can and does speak English, but just kind of giving you a flavor for, the way that things go there. So let's jump into a little bit more of the things kind of going on. I think there's so much going on in the world today. And I really think that going forward, it's going to make tremendous changes for all of us to kind of work through. And I kind of wrote down a bunch of them, the China and the Russia-Ukraine situation. There's all kinds of things. Those two items just by themselves have significant impact for all the rest of the world. China, right now it's funny because I don't see it much in the news, but China's kind of having, it's like a dumpster fire right now. Their economy is really having difficult problems. Their real estate sector has basically completely crashed. Their financial system is having problems. And they also are having problems like all the rest of us with energy and food. The Russia-Ukraine war has really disrupted international trade, international supply chains, especially hard hitting the energy industry and the food industries. We have, also the financial industries. There's all kinds of stuff. Some of it is due to the war. Some of it is due to other things going on in the world. Of course, there's one of the issues is capital flight. With so much unrest kind of going on, is a lot of movement where people are trying to find safer places for their assets. And so you see a lot of these countries looking for ways that they can get their money maybe invested in other parts of the world. Recession, where we are right now, the shutting down all the trade with Russia and the various other issues in Europe, I don't think that we really appreciate how much an impact that has had on Europe. And of course, Hannah may correct me on some of this stuff. I mean, I'm only speaking from my perceptions, and Hannah may say, well, actually, David was completely wrong about that. But the way that I think it is, they're facing severe energy shortages. They're facing severe food shortages. Their largest trading partners, I know that parts of Germany have had to start shutting down industry because they're basically having to decide whether to use energy for industry or energy for heating homes. So we have those kinds of things going on. The supply lines, back during the pandemic, I think we all found out how susceptible we are to the supply lines being strewn out all over the world. And it's not to say that we're trying to completely do away with the way that was done, but I do think that we've realized, hey, there's some things that are of strategic importance, and we just can't be in a situation where we have that little control over those supply lines. I know that during COVID, a Chinese official, and I can't believe they did this, but he actually was bragging about the fact that they basically controlled all of our medicines and that they could pretty much shut down the US overnight by just refusing to send us our medicines. And I think that, among other things, led people to understand it's like, yeah, we can't allow that to happen. So we're having this major thing going on with the US where they are reevaluating all of those supply lines. We're looking at bringing a lot of that industry back to the US, but a lot of that stuff, the only way that it was really working was because of the lower wages and the technological differences in some of those countries. And it just really wouldn't work very well in the US. So that's a benefit really kind of to my region, because they're looking for areas that are closer where they can set up these supply chains where they have more control over it and that it's in their kind of our own backyard. We've had this big thing with cryptocurrencies. I really don't know how that ultimately is going to fall out. We're having a number of countries over the last couple of years. I know that El Salvador, maybe 2 or 3 years ago, made the decision to make Bitcoin an official currency of El Salvador. And the reasons that they were doing that is that so many countries, their currencies were so intricately tied to the US, or sometimes they were actually using US dollar as their currency. And so that made them susceptible to the same interest rate fluctuations, inflation fluctuations, all these other things. And it just wasn't really good for their economies. So they were thinking, we really need to come up with some ways to kind of divorce ourselves from that to kind of mitigate that risk. And I don't know how they feel about that now. I mean, that's one of the things that I think there's still some, diehard believers in that. But it hasn't been just an easy ride for people. I mean, I think we've seen a lot of stuff in the crypto markets that obviously has gone wrong in the last couple of years. So that is, I think, one of the things that remains to be seen. So basically, I guess those are just kind of touching on the various topics. And I think from this point, I'm going to talk about what that means. I mean, how does that affect my region? What do I think that will do? We're not I hear people talking about these shortages of food and shortages of energy, and they just sort of talk about it like it's, oh yeah, it's just one of those things. What I don't think people realize is that these kinds of the way that people react to that is not just kind of sitting back and saying, oh, wow, what are we going to do about that? I think we're going to see a lot of unrest. It's kind of funny. I've been hearing that there's quite a bit of protests going on around the world, also in Europe, even though we don't seem to see much of that in the American press. There's already a lot of people that are very concerned about this. And so there is unrest. That unrest, ultimately, it's hard to know how that's all going to play out. We've already begun to see some things. You know, there have been riots. There's been one or two places where I think they even had attempted coup because of food shortages. And so these kinds of things are going to play out. But the way that I see this, I kind of structured this. If you all have heard me speak before, this is one of the things, one of the ideas that I've really been big on in the last couple of years is I think we can put this all under the topic of security. You know, people are going to be looking for security in energy. They want to be sure that they can have heat if it's cold. They want to be sure that they can get around if they need to. People want to be sure that they can get food, that they'll be able to eat. People want to try to protect their assets as much as they can, whether that's due to inflation, whether it's due to interest rates, whether it's due to your country trying to manipulate your currency, or whether it's due to trying to just avoid recessions. So those are the big topics I think that we have going on. And I think that the way that people will react to that, you know, unfortunately, we're going to see unrest, and unrest may be just, you know, people protesting in their streets. It also might be people looking to find a new government. It might also, unfortunately, be increased conflict around the world, maybe between countries. Maybe a week or two ago, we already saw that Iran fired a missile at an oil tanker maybe a couple of weeks ago, and it missed, and it really barely even made the news. But the thing is that the U.S. has reached this point where the U.S. is deciding that they're not going to try to intervene in the world's, you know, various conflicts all the time anymore. We're not going to be doing it. And so if the U.S. is not going to do that, then we can start seeing more of this stuff where different countries start trying to protect their energy lines, their food lines, and all those things. And unfortunately, that means that there may be conflict, and people will be trying to avoid that conflict as well. So I think what that means is we can see big changes in migration and immigration. I think that there'll be more investment worldwide in my particular area of the world, in my region, as people are looking for a place where they feel like they can count on there being energy, they can count on there being food, they can count on feeling secure. You know, they won't be in a war zone. So these people, and I kind of use this term carefully because I want to be careful not to make it sound like I'm minimizing things, but these, in a sense, they're sort of refugees. It's people trying to find a spot where they feel that they have security and safety, and they're leaving their countries kind of because of that. I understand that we're not talking about the same level as, you know, like a humanitarian crisis. So, you know, I hope you'll give me a little leeway on that, but it is sort of a thing.
Excellent points, man. Excellent points. And I know this is going to be a lot of questions coming up. So I would just save your, you know, for question time, because you covered some of the most strategic issues and events going on right now. So thank you, David.
Absolutely. Thank you all very much.
Thank you. So before I go forward, I also want to acknowledge our strategic partner is Jeff here. Do you see him, Teresa? No. Okay. Jeff is not here. So Jeff represents the North Shore Barrington Association of Realtors. He's a strategic partner to NICAR and has been instrumental in our program. The other person is Donna Wilson. Donna, where are you? Donna is from Main Street, and she has been absolutely really supportive of us.
Hi there, Matt. I don't know if you can hear me.
Yeah, Donna, quickly, please. Thank you for what you've done, and just tell them who you are and what do you do.
Hi, everybody. I don't think my video works. It's probably a good thing. That's probably good, actually. I'm just, I'm the director here at Main Street for all things global and commercial. And we enjoy partnering on this event. Teresa does a wonderful job. You and Ahmed partner together and bring fabulous global programs to everybody. And Main Street members get to benefit is basically the formula there. And I appreciate everything you guys do. You have a great program here with some of my most favorite global people in all the world. For all of those that are tuning in, these are the type of the programs that you get to meet the people that can connect you to the world. And I say that because there's some of our friends from Ireland on here, Brian and Neem. You already pointed out Antonio, and Hannah actually was probably one of the first global people I ever met when I first started at Main Street. So I'm very appreciative of everything you guys do, and I can't wait to hear more.
Thank you, Donna. And I just want to mention one of our global ambassadors is Marisa Kagan. Marisa is global ambassador to Italy, Portugal, and Spain. So if I missed you in the past, Marisa, welcome. And
thank you.
Mraz. Hi, Marisa.
Hey there.
Okay.
Thank you. I love hearing about all this. I look forward to hearing Hannah, who's been amazing to me over the last couple of years. So thanks, Ahmed.
Thank you. And past global ambassador is also here, Marsha Collington-Raz, and who's still involved in a lot of things going on global. Thank you, Marsha.
My pleasure, Ahmed. And I'm very proud to be connected again with our global council there at Main Street as the current vice chair. I think all of you that are in the global community will appreciate I'm multitasking and listening to an AMPI presentation on my other computer. So I'm going to go silent, but thanks for the shout out, my friend. Happy holidays, everyone.
Thank you. All right, so now we're going to move to Western Europe and Israel. And our next presenter, Hannah. Hannah was born in Denmark, educated in Europe, and at Indiana University, has been in Dallas, Texas for 30 plus years, fluent in several languages and specializes and excels in relocation, and having worked with transferees from most major Dallas-Fort Worth corporations. And she's also been a great partner with Main Street, especially on our annual, as Donna mentioned, on our annual visits to NAR conferences. And, I met Hannah at our last conference, and she said, I bought a full pass, and guess what? I haven't been to one meeting because you get so involved with your international guests. I mean, my flights were canceled, and I had to get there because I had people from Nigeria were there and I was not. So I was fortunate to get a flight out, at least to get there to make it there for 2 days. So Hannah belongs to many professional organizations, past president of Metro Tax Association of Realtors, past president of North Texas MLS, and a director of the National Association of Realtors and the Texas Association of Realtors. Hannah, it's all yours. Take it.
Thank you, Ahmed. And I'm honored to be here with a lot of my good friends, and I love working. We talked about Main Street and the support Main Street is giving. to the global community is amazing. And I love working with you guys. And like Donna said, we worked together for many, many years, ever since she got onto the global scene. I started as an, at the time, global liaison to Denmark, and then moved on to Denmark and Sweden, and then eventually became the coordinator. But I've been involved with NAR Global for probably 20 years now on different levels. I agree with what David was touching on, and I won't go into the exact same things, but it's true, you know, across the world, what David is saying. He did mention IRM's International Realtor members, and that his area has such a large number. Europe actually also has a good and growing number of IRMs and the same CIPS designees. And what we're seeing in Europe is that it's mainly in the southern countries, in Marissa Kagan's area, that we have an increase in the IRMs. We have from Spain, we have 524 just from Spain, which is pretty amazing. And again, the reason David mentioned is that it's good to know that we do have contacts in the countries that we can connect you with, just like Teresa contacted me about Finland when her son was going to Finland. So what we can do is, and even if we don't have individual members there, our connections are with the associations in those countries. So we can connect you to the association, and then the association can take it from there. So I have 17 countries in my region. I think I actually have more countries than any of the other coordinators. And because we have 76 countries total, and I have 17 of those. And then we have the more than 100 bilateral agreements. In some countries, we have more than one bilateral partner. So mine are Western Europe. And Western Europe and Israel are actually very similar in their market trends to the US. So the one, actually, I made it to one talk at NAR, but that was it. And it's my favorite every year to go listen to Lawrence Yun. And it was his commercial update. And it was interesting after I went through preparing a little bit for this, that some of the trends are exactly the same trends actually as what Lawrence was talking about in the US is what you're seeing in Western Europe. So there are some sectors of commercial that are much stronger than others. And the one, as I was going through every country, was the one that Lawrence was also talking about. And the gentleman from Florida, and his name escapes me, also talked about it in his area, and it's logistics. So warehouses and logistics. So it's not just in the US, but it's across the world, but that's or at least Western Europe, is the strongest commercial trend. And that is based on some of the things, or most of the things that David was talking about, the concern about supply chains. And with COVID, e-commerce has gotten so strong. So now that sector seems to be the strongest for commercial. Some of the issues in Europe we touched on already, of course, is inflation, just like here. And some countries have worse inflation than we have. I guess the report this morning was that ours is getting a little better in the US. So we have inflation, we have negative growth in a couple of countries. We have the cost of energy, which is, we think ours is high, but it's much, much higher in most of Western Europe. And then the war in Ukraine is affecting everyone in Europe on many, many different levels. Interest rates are also going up, just like they have been doing here. And then also, like David talked about, the governmental unrest. A number of countries are seeing elections being called and new governments. So those are some of the things that are going on there. And I'll try to do a little bit quickly from some of the countries, not all of them. The UK actually also has something else that has been affecting the UK over the last couple of years, and is still sort of a dark cloud, is Brexit. And what happened? It was obviously not what was promised, and that's affecting not just residential but also commercial activity there. The city reports that office block values in London will fall 38%, up to 38% over the next 2 to 3 years due to the rising unemployment and the continued work from home of people. The vacancy rate is going to go up, and rents may go to half of what they were previously. The value of the pound, of course, is also down, so that's affecting everyone. Going from there to Ireland, and Ireland has been the biggest winner probably of what happened for Brexit, because a lot of things, a lot of companies have moved over to Ireland. In Ireland, offices are doing well. There are many big deals with American and European companies wanting offices now in Dublin due to Brexit. The industrial units, like I mentioned, are the big winners also in Ireland. Hospitality, hotels, and pubs. The pubs are selling well now in the major cities, maybe not so well out in the country. And the hotels, and this was kind of interesting when I read that, are doing very well. And one reason is that a lot of Ukrainian refugees have come to Ireland, and they're being housed in hotels there. What that means is that the rates for everyone have gone up as well. Large commercial buildings are also doing well in Ireland. Residential is a little bit more of a difficult market, and we are seeing that in the Eurozone because of some of the new laws that are being passed about sustainability and having to upgrade older buildings. We're seeing that in Paris, for instance. I'm jumping over to France a little bit now. And will affect investment properties in Paris and other parts of France because of this new law that they have to be upgraded to meet the new laws that are coming into play. So since I jumped to France, I'll continue with France. The market started out strong this year, 2022, after it had been shrinking. This is the commercial market, after having been shrinking in 2021 because of COVID. But again, the big issue that I mentioned is the new regulation that's coming in, and it may turn off some of the investors. Some big deals were negotiated before the war in Ukraine, and what's happening now is that a lot of investors are taking a wait-and-see attitude, and we're seeing that all over Europe and probably in other parts of the world also. Since June, there's been a gulf between what buyers think things should be worth and what they should pay and what sellers think. So we are seeing this wait and see attitude, and not as many deals are happening. Same in France as over the rest of Europe. The industrial and the logistics are seeing a sharp increase in values. Israel has just like other parts of Europe, has a fairly difficult political climate at the moment, also with new government and a lot of things going on within the government in Israel. Just a very interesting factor of what has just happened in Israel. They actually got their first MLS up and running. I don't know if that's going to affect commercial, or if commercial is going to be a part of that or not, but their ambassador association, Cyborg, Staten Island, helped them get that going. And so far it has been very successful. And because of that, they have also improved the association in Israel has improved their standing, their relationship with the government, and getting more support. And that is going to also hopefully help the commercial market. The commercial market is, this was what was said in a video that I was listening to from Israel. They're saying it's stalled, just like in some other areas. It's the same wait and see attitude because they don't know what's going to be happening. They're seeing a lot of Israelis that were buying in the US are now buying in Europe, and there's a trend for that, but that's mostly residential property, but it may also be affecting the commercial properties. In the Nordic countries, Denmark, Sweden, and Norway, same thing here, high inflation, energy costs, all of that. Norway, I have, and I wanted to mention that in case anybody is very interested and wanted a more detailed report. I got a very detailed report from Norway when I asked for some information about the commercial market there. I have the same for France also. So if anybody's interested, you can email me afterwards and I'll be happy to share those with you. So in Norway, in the big cities, and that's true for all of the Nordic countries, if you're looking at the capital or the larger cities, the office markets are strong. The vacancies there are falling and the rents are rising. And again, same wait and see attitude with sales. So rents, yes, but the big sales, the volume is down in Norway, for instance, for big commercial properties. The volume is down 70%. The market for warehousing and logistics, the rent for the best properties has risen 23% in the past year. Hotels also, prices are going up, just like in other countries. Spain, Portugal, and Italy, the southern part of my area. And I want to mention also, I have been approached by a lot of people about what would be a good thing to come to in Europe. We are having a global Western European summit. NICAR is planning in Granada, and I don't know if Holly is still on, if she wants to talk a little bit more about that maybe later. But if you want to put it on your calendars, the dates are June 28 to 30. And we are hoping that it will be an inter-European global summit where we have a lot of people from Western Europe participating, and of course, a lot of people from the US as well. As far as investment in Spain, Spain is very dependent on overseas investment. In fact, 58% of the investment in Spain comes from overseas. The vacancy rates are coming down in the big cities. And again, here, the logistics are the number one driver. That's true also for Italy and for Portugal, that in Italy, logistics are up 20%. The same in Spain and Portugal. It's very similar also, that logistics and hospitality is coming back in those countries, along with all the tourists that are now coming back. I think that pretty much sums it up. I don't have a whole lot from Germany and Austria and the Netherlands, but they are very similar to the rest of Europe. You can see the trend, hopefully, from what I gave you so far. That's all I got.
Thank you, Hannah. Excellent. Love your presentation. The next is going to be Ileana. Before I get to Ileana, I just want to acknowledge I see Yoshi Dakota is also on here. Yoshi is the global ambassador to Indonesia, Cambodia, and Vietnam. Thank you, Yoshi, for joining us here. So going on with our next presenter, Ileana is the NICAR Global Coordinator to South America. With a previous career in international sales and marketing for a multinational company, to position the company's brand, products, and expand business opportunities in Latin countries, UAE, and Jordan. Ileana relocated back to the US after her last assignment in Brazil and Mexico and decided to get her real estate license in 2010. Now, for each of our presenters, when you registered on that web page, there is the bio for each one of them. And I will also ask them to put their contact information. So if you want to follow up with any of them, I'm taking the liberty of saying, yeah, contact David and Hannah, but I'm sure they won't mind. And Ileana for any questions you may have. So Ileana, go ahead, it's all yours.
Thank you, Ahmed. Thank you very much. Here is my presentation. I am very happy to be here today, and I thank you for the opportunity. Same as with, my, click from start. Okay, current set of slideshow, I guess. Can you see this? Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, I'm very happy to be here. It's always a pleasure talking about Global, and I will try to do this very quick. As you see, thank you for the opportunity for the Chicago Association. Everybody here that it's actually participating, we know how engaged you are in Global, and we know how committed, and we know how you would like to grow your business or help us help the associations that we have an agreement with NICAR in 76 countries. I'm happy to, this last year, we actually signed, well, not last year, we're almost there, like on August, we signed our last bilateral agreement with Bolivia, with the country of Bolivia, which is the 9th country I have under my region. Okay. Let me see. I close this here. These are the bilateral partners in some countries, like Hannah, David say. Some countries there are more than one, and we have 106 associations throughout through 5 regions. And the last one we signed, at least in my region, was Bolivia, and in Barranquilla, Colombia, the Confederation of International Real Estate of Latin America in Barranquilla. These are global ambassadors that are actually serving for 2023. We actually thank you all the hard work that the 2022 global ambassadors did with throughout the year. And Karen is is in charge of Brazil, Colombia, and Chile. Betty, Bolivia, Ecuador, and Peru. I am the global coordinator, but I'm also going to be overseeing our efforts in Argentina, Paraguay, and Uruguay. What we actually, I'm going to be really quick because I want to cover a lot of it, because it's in our region, we are very, our attention is very direct in brand positioning and the value of the Realtor brand and certification educations to prepare our members, bilateral partners members, to be successful and to receive and how your referrals or your customers and conducting the real estate transaction as we do here in the United States, or as close as professional under a code of ethics. This is the value that we have, or the value of the brand. We are saying we're working very close with all these countries to position the brand. We actually, this is what we do, and what we actually work together with our bilateral partners, knowing they have to be knowledgeable about this bilateral partner, what it represents. We bring certification designations, we're positioning the brand, as you can see, and recognize that if you are a realtor in these countries, you're very well, you have all the education, certification that you need to actually serve our customers and actually local customers. Implementing everything that we're talking about all the deficit, everything that we're going through, like David was mentioning, about whatever situation is globally, or what Hannah is mentioning, that we have to be aware of what's happening and to implement through the years, actually through our associations. Technologies, we're actually signing MLS, so we're bringing MLS through our area, which you might think that, wow, is this something very basic for us? But in these countries, what we're trying to do is just to give that the same tools that we use here, not the platforms that we have. Everybody thinks that the platforms, the consumer is what is MLS, but it's not. We know it for sure. So that's what we're teaching. And they're actually, in my countries, are actually 3 countries that are actually implementing, sign an agreement, and they're going to be implementing the MLS through will be Ecuador, and Colombia already has it, but it's revamping the program, and Bolivia. And so we're hoping that during the 2023 program, we can actually connect more and more countries. We have the trade missions and the referral program that would you actually are very interested, I'm sure. One of the things are 4 components, as you said, just a history, story, or information about NICAR, growing our IRNs. We grew significant this year, and we're looking forward to grow more and more and more. Just why we joke around between the regions that we have the largest country or the largest, we have in Brazil, we have the 2nd largest trade organization in Brazil. In Brazil, the profession is regulated. And we're partners of the association, who is the regulatory body in the country, which is COFECI, and we have 570,000 members or licensees, let's say, the members, because the association, they're members. So we have the largest, the 2nd largest trade organization, let's say, after NICAR. We have 500,000 licensing. It's about 70,000 companies. Also, is one of the largest countries in South America, with Brazil, with 214 million in population. So in the area in general, we have about 431 million in South America, including Venezuela. And education programs this year, we're actually including social cause and advocacy, try to involve more with our associations to be more involved with social causes or advocacy, because some of the countries, they don't have the regulated the profession but this we're actually helping with that. And who can be a realtor? And please make sure that when you're doing your referrals, try to connect. This is in Spanish. I'm trying to know if you actually know a little bit of Spanish. But anyway, that you contact us to help you contact somebody you have the global ambassadors, global coordinators, to contact the right members from the bilateral partner who already invested in education and their designation certification to better help your customers, or to help you help your customers. In these countries, only members of the bilateral partners can obtain the realtor, international realtor member, okay? So if any other real estate or company or a franchise that they would like that are not member of the bilateral partner, they will not be able to access unless they join the association. And realtor, we enforce this. Realtor, meaning it means member of the National Association of Realtors. Well, this is our goals, and some of our goals are, the power of the brand, how to use the membership. We're going to launch a series of webinars about, are you using your member benefits? Do you know how to access? So we're going to be launching this tomorrow, and it's going to be through the 2023 program. Okay, we did last year, we started doing traveling to South America series of webinars, which was a great, it was well received. We're actually connecting, before we used to work, kind of like independently or the countries, but now we're seeing more and more this collaboration among all the countries around the region. So it's just very good, including courses in some cases. We just finished a course between Ecuador, Peru, and Colombia, doing the ABR and the SRS. That is very well accepted. And we grew in numbers, this is very important for you. And this is if I'm sure all of you global realtors that you know that how important is this report. And on the left is nationwide, which you can see that from this year, actually, they put 6 countries, because Colombia also, which was the number 5 last year for political situation, economic situations, what they were going through, it actually dropped to number 6. And Brazil took over to number 5, but still they are actually included in the top 6 major countries investing in the United States. And as you can see in the Florida side, it is 4 of the 5 top countries are coming from South America, which is Argentina, Colombia, Brazil, and Venezuela. And just like all these things that we're mentioning here today, I will see probably, and I'm pretty more sure that these countries are going to show even more and more in these reports. The 3 are actually that we, beside the CIPS, which is the specialty, one of the courses that we really emphasize is the SRS and RENE, and also the AVR. Why the AVR? Because in these countries, the buyer usually doesn't have representation. So it's one of the things that we are actually helping, especially to help you, not see the CIPS, to help your buyers, help preparing the agents, the members, to prepare to get to know that there's an opportunity there that nobody is targeting, that it's a presence, and it will be good for them to start doing. All right, same as we are doing here. This year, 2022, it was a very interesting year. I mean, even though we were in Ecuador in a trade mission. And yes, it was a coup, a kind of manifestation that they were due to the COVID situation, and then inflation, and then the war in Ukraine and prices increases. I believe people were not very happy, and they started the manifestation, and they were trying to overthrow the president of Ecuador, Guillermo Lasso. So we were right there, and it was a very interesting experience. But during the trade mission, we had to escape. But it is a beautiful country. Right now, everybody who went, it has a great experience. We actually visited what is the Quito area, but also saw all the opportunities in the Pacific coast, that it is an amazing opportunity, good prices, good, a lot of expats from the US living, not only because they know that Cuenca is the main area, or Guayaquil, but now what we're trying to present through these trade missions is new opportunities, new countries that maybe you are not that aware, because Latin America is so beautiful and it has so many places to go, but some of them are a hidden gem, right? So we actually present opportunities by the coast, and it is amazing prices, and by the water, and with an incredible lifestyle, and dental, all health care plans, very good and affordable right there. Good quality of life. We experience, and you'll see in the next slide, exchange rate affecting all this, affecting us. And even though that they're affecting because of this political, economical situation that they're going through, now you can see that they're coming and trying to get their money out of the country in order to invest here in the United States. Another issues that we face sometimes is the discrepancies between the federation and the regional association. Who is more important? Who has the more power? And sometimes, and we come and try to mediate and be help them find a middle ground, so that way they can collaborate together. Franchises also is challenging depending on the country. Argentina has the situations in order to be a real estate professional in Argentina, unless you are a grandfather, because it started like 7 years again. 7 years, you need to have a university degree, but we're trying to find solutions. Or maybe they're not as well received because the franchises, they come to the country and they try to say, okay, we know everything, and they don't want to be part of the of the association because they don't see that they have any benefit. Don't forget the associations that we do here. We need that association, that middle ground, who represent the profession. So if they have in a situation, something, a conflict or whatever, let's say, who is going to be the mediator? And that's what I think that it's important that the association, as we do here, we have the grieving committee, we have the ethics, right? Or we have the MLS, whatever the situation happens, so we can solve it within the association. So, and political situations. Here, what we would like to understand, you have us, the global coordinators, global ambassadors. Please use us so that way we can help you for your webinars, for your connections, because that way we prevent that you presenting or using speakers that they're not partners of NICAR, or they don't know exactly what we do, or let's give the recognition for those IRMs or designees that are actually invested in the profession. And we're here to help you. If you want to know more about the global program, here is the link. And if you would like to know which actually country is NICAR has a partner and who is the global ambassador, global coordinator, you can go to this link and you can find all the information right there. We have a great program. And success stories, I mean, we did a very, like I said, trade missions in Ecuador through the Global Ambassador Association, Pinelas. In Brazil, we went to Brazil. It was wonderful. We did a CIPS networking event there to recognize our IRMs and CIPS. They have a blast, they have a good time. And President Bismalta was there. And Fede Lonjas, the President Leslie Ruda Smith was there and was able to witness all the excitement. And David was there. David can attest to this. Everything working as a regionals, 19 countries in one place with one vision. So it was very, very good. Bolivia, we have a new partner in MLS, and we're working, all those are licensing agreements for our courses. We're connecting realtors to realtors. This is what we would like to do. Where are you going to invest? Right now, real estate is global, right? So people are saying where to invest. I mean, maybe because of the situation here, the prices are too high here in the United States, even though maybe people are trying to diversify. They want to go to the Caribbean. But countries in my region that they actually offer is opportunities. Brazil, they have RNE visa, and that they help you migrate to the country. And investment is about $200,000 to $170,000 to $130,000 for a very good property. $170 in São Paulo, they said, in the metropolitan areas, or in the southeast region or in the beach for 130, 2 bedrooms, 2 baths, depending what you're looking for. Colombia, and it has expats from living in Brazil is 70,000. In Colombia, about 60,000. The region, the coffee region, Bogota or Medellin. But we were there in Barranquilla, and that is a younger, vibrant city that they're revitalizing, that you can find really good opportunities by the water, and it's only an hour and a half away from Cartagena. Also, they have one of the largest free trade zone for somebody looking for commercial. And we did a trade mission in 2015 with Florida Realtor. It was an amazing warehouse opportunities. And also on the commercial side, residential, retail side, they're doing a beautiful commercial shopping centers. Ecuador is a dollarized country. So right now, like I said, people used to go in Cuenca, in Quito, Guayaquil, but now the Pacific coast, it is a good opportunity to invest. You can have a very nice home, single family detached home with water views for about $230,000 with a pool. So you can actually put in a rental program that will leave you about 8 to 10 return of investment. Here you have on the left about the monthly cost for living as an expat there. And you can also, we know that we have opportunities for a health insurance or the good health care system and dental as well. Argentina, a beautiful metropolitan, cosmopolitan Buenos Aires, but also in the region of the Patagonia. I don't know if you were aware, CNN a couple of months ago, it ran a series of about Argentina and the Patagonia opportunities. Beautiful. It also included the Andes and Chile. as well. And Uruguay, it's a very good, stable country that also offer good opportunities for to invest and also to retire over there. So you can see here, this is something that we did in May, and you can see the exchange rate, how it's fluctuating, affecting. Most people would like to Argentina, investing, trying to money back here. Bolivia, they were actually restricted. They were in their homes for about a month because of a political situation. And over there, Bolivia is a country that has a lot of one of the biggest exporter of beef. It has wine production. I didn't know. They have a great beer, great lifestyle, good projects, and a good price for you to invest. And a beautiful also views, sceneries, and good opportunities to get to know the countries. Okay. And this is what, okay, also something very, very important in the region for you trying to attract investors for your area, and the treaty countries that they have, countries that have a treaty with the United States with the E2 visa program are Chile, Colombia, Argentina, Bolivia, and Paraguay. If you have a customer that maybe they don't have, for example, that is not included, for example, Venezuela or Brazil, but they have another passport for another country, or Europe or Italy, that they're part of the treaty agreements with the US, you can also help get them or help them through that. But very interesting.
Ileana?
Yes.
We have to go into networking and Q&A, but I must say this is an excellent presentation. And a lot of the folks have asked if they can get your PowerPoint. So, you know, you can discuss this with Lauren and Teresa, if you could share it. But I know you know, all three of you, just the way you've done this presentation has been excellent, and it's covered different facets of our global. So I'm sorry to.
That's okay. I just want to say that everything, if you're interested in the trade missions or a conference, please contact us and we'll be more than happy to help you connect or for you to accompany us to these wonderful trade missions for you to discover the opportunities.
Ileana, can you in the chat provide your email and contact information, please?
Thank you, everyone, for presenting. I'll end with a pretty simple question.
Teresa, can I just say one thing before
Sure.
you go there? I'd just like to call upon Bill Caton, our pioneer, founder of the CGBN, to just say a few words. Final. Bill, are you there? Bill
Maybe.
fell asleep. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you, Ahmed, for recognizing everyone who's come on to this, not just our panelists or presenters, but also the other global ambassadors and everyone who's played a role in advocating for global connectivity. And so there are a lot of resources. And so this relates to one of the questions that I think that a lot of people would like to know on here. And I'm going to go in the reverse order. I'm going to start with Ileana, Hannah, then David. And I want you to each say something different to this question. So the question is, if you could tell everyone one thing that you think that they should be doing to be successful in interacting on the global scene. So one activity, and then one resource that you think that they will find very helpful. So I'll start with you, Ileana. So now then you're on the spot. By the time it gets you to David, you have to have something different than them. So Ileana, one activity that you think would really help people be successful in the global marketplace, global real estate marketplace.
I will say, get yourself familiar with Realtor NAR, that Realtor/4Global, and get yourself familiar with the countries and actually direct your attention to the countries of your interest. And right there through the NAR, that Realtor Global, you will find everything, and we're here to assist you.
Thank you very much. Hannah, if you could say one activity you think would make someone successful in global, as well as one resource. Ileana did a 2-in-1.
So I think the most important thing really is for everyone to attend NAR and also their local global meetings. Sorry, David, that was yours. I
No,
could
it's
see it.
totally
I could see it. Well, you're going to have to come up with something else. But I honestly believe that that's the most important thing. Start attending meetings, even if you're not on a committee. It doesn't mean that you can't attend. Everything is open. So that way, see what is available and then find a focus, because you can't do it all. With CIPS, that certainly is great doing that, but where do I go afterwards? I think you have to have a focus. You can't cover the world, at least I wasn't able to. So I think you find a focus. What are you really deeply interested in, whether that's an area or whether it's a country, and then focus on that.
David?
Wow. So they took my two best ones. I think what I'm going to do is sort of refine it a little bit. And that
Okay.
I think that probably some of the people I know who are most successful at this, they have a plan. And by that, and this is kind of along the same lines as both of them, but one thing I think you need to do is you need to be aware of your local market. Most people, not everybody, but most people who are successful at international real estate are working with internationals in their home market. It's not as much going out. Not that you can't do that, but most people really are more successful working with internationals in their home market. So you need to know your market. You need to know what groups are in your market. And then you need to know, and then this kind of gets to Hannah, decide one or two groups that you want to concentrate on, learn about them. And then what you can do is, look at people. So let's give an example of Jamaica. If you happen to have a whole bunch of people who live in your community from Jamaica, it would probably be a good idea for you to network with people from Jamaica and learn people who are there, because chances are they may have clients moving to your area. And so those are really good connections to have, and vice versa. You may have a lot of people in your area who decide to repatriate. And, it's a good idea to kind of get to know those groups, make connections through networking, through the resources on NAR, stay abreast of things going on in those markets. And I think that those are probably the best things to do. So if that was
or even pick a niche in that market. So mine is, I work mostly with medical professionals.
Yeah.
So, you can even fine tune it within that market, what you're really good at.
And I'll make this is not an official NAR training, but there are some people that have put together some courses that they do that kind of say, now that you have your CIPS, now that you're doing international real estate, now what kinds of strategies, what kinds of things can you do? And those are very helpful courses. Some of them, once you hear them, it's like, that's really obvious, but sometimes you need someone else to kind of tell you. And there are a lot of people who've been very successful using some of those strategies.
Okay, thank you very much for presenting. I do want to wrap it up, conscientious of everyone's time, and we're going to have a very speed networking session after. But I'm going to also add, coming to these webinars, whether it's CGBN or any of the other ones, show up, find something where it resonates with you, go look for good content, find ways to add content, because we're always learning, this, like David said, the world is rapidly changing, and trying to be aware of all the issues that you can be, as well as how to address them. Because when your clients are addressing you, or when they come to you, they want to know that you're knowledgeable, not just in your local market, but what's happening globally, especially on a commercial real estate endeavor, right? Where our business is going to thrive when both inbound and outbound. So going to the webinars, going to the live events, whether it be NAR, MIPIM, C5, et cetera, they all will add value. And I know you can't do everything, but just keep on watching to see what's out there. We are going to shortly end the recording, but I did want to let everyone know that, hold on a second, Hannah, that our next webinar is Commercial Real Estate Trends in U.S. Cities. That will be the third Tuesday. For the next year, all of our webinars, we're planning on having the third Tuesday, except on the months that we're having live events. So for example, we'll have a live event for NAR and probably for C5 and MIPIM. So those 3 months, we probably will not have a webinar because hopefully we'll instead be attending a live event. Hannah, did you have one last thing?
Yeah, I just wanted to also add to that because we haven't touched on that. I think it's really important that you know what's going on. I mean, David talked so much about the world, but read the newspapers or little blurbs from the papers or whatever the information is in the news about the countries. So you know what's going on.
Thank you very much. So
Yeah, Teresa, one more thing. I noticed Carla Raymond kid from Sarasota, Florida is here. She has occupied many positions with NAR Global, and I'm glad she's here with us. Do you know Carla? Carla, are you there?
I am. Thank you so much for the acknowledgement. Appreciate it.
Yes, thanks for joining us. A quick hello, please. Just tell who you are.
Hi, everybody. I good to see all my colleagues. Miss you all. So, like David, I started out a long time ago. I was the president's liaison to Panama, and then I was the role that David McCoy had for North America, Central America, and the Caribbean. I'm the incoming president for FIOPSI USA. So I'm going to be installed in May in Washington, D.C. So if you're all looking to enhance your global career, I would definitely, and looking for an association with some top level real estate professionals around the world, I would definitely recommend you taking a look at FIOPSI as well. But I think everyone just really presented some great information and tips. The only thing I would just add is just be purposeful. There's a lot of things that are going on as far as travel is concerned. And I see a lot of people kind of hopping on the bandwagon because it seems like a sexy place to go. But if you're not going to get any business from it, it really doesn't make sense for you to sort of spend your time, money, and efforts in chasing a market that makes no sense for you to begin with. If you're looking at it as just a trip to go somewhere, that's great. But be very purposeful in what you're doing and follow the money that's coming to your own market. And with that, I wish everyone well. I hope you have a wonderful holiday. It was great seeing all my friends and family on here. And thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you, Carla. Thank you, Ahmed. Thank you, presenters. And we hope that you join us for the next webinar. You will find this on our Commercial Global Business Network webpage. I am always open to new topics, so please do contact me afterwards via email, etc. Everything is in the chat. Everyone's welcome to download the chat before we log off. We will spend the next 15 minutes after this recording ends doing a speed networking. So we can end the recording now. Thank you.